Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into our Spotlight series, Journey of a Disability Warrior, The Roads We've Traveled. Today's guest is self advocate and autism warrior Taylor Carley. He joins us today to share his story in order to promote awareness about people with disabilities. He believes that you can do anything no matter your disability. Taylor works as a self advocacy coordinator for the Institute for Disability Studies, located at the University of Southern Mississippi. He is also the host of the YouTube series Chit Chat Thursdays with Taylor, which focuses on self advocacy efforts and success stories across the state. Thank you so much for joining me today, Taylor.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
All right, well, I'd like to get started with learning a little bit more about you. Can you tell me what are some of your interests?
My interest, I have many interests. This is why I have to keep this very short. I am a nerd at heart that loves animation, writing, reading, illustrations, movies, adventure places that I've never been to, and even video games.
What do you feel are your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
Few of my strengths as follow are I like to be organized in my way, timeliness, kindness, and ambitious to get things done. My weaknesses are the opposite of my strengths. I can be forgetful at times. Adapting to my situations can be difficult and reading social cues.
What is your favorite memory from growing up?
Ah, that's a great question. My fondest memory I can recall in my mind is has to be when I graduated from high school. The absolute excitement sitting at USM Reed Green Coliseum along the other students at any moment, you have to walk up to the stage and accept your diploma. The people applaud you no matter what who you are. The memory felt like I had accomplished a big milestone in my life.
How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Honest, loyal, determined.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, I like that one. Usually, when someone asks me that question, I think of those generic responses, as I call them, the simple and easy for someone to understand who I am or who you are. You get people who want to fly, teleport, vision, shapeshift, and such. My power comes from a Japanese RPG called Shin Megami Tensei, to known to Western audiences as Persona franchise. An individual will awaken their persona to have abilities. And the ability I want to do is resonate with others and help them find their voice to become a self advocate. That'd definitely help me in my profession.
What is something that most people don't know about you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Thank you. There are certain things I do not want to disclose to anybody for personal reason, but I can share is that most people don't know I like to write stories. I have dreams of publishing my trilogy that's still in development for the world to see my abilities.
That's wonderful. Who would you say is your role model and why?
I have to say, I have a few role models that are my colleagues, like my buddy Rebecca, my bud Leslie, my good friend Jerry, and my older brother role model Scott. All these people give me various advice, wisdom, and their opinion on many aspects of my daily life.
How has autism impacted your life?
Hmm, that's a good question. Autism isn't an illness. I just want to explain that. I'm just like anybody else. Autism is who I am. I would not be who I am if I didn't have Asperger's syndrome. I could never imagine living without being autistic. It's my ability. It has been part of my life and kept me striving to be my best.
What is the biggest obstacle you've ever had to overcome?
The hardest thing to overcome. I think at times where most individuals I've encountered, when they hear someone is autistic, their whole demeanor changes. How someone acts towards you. Immediately treat me separate from an average person. I felt I had to adapt and learn from various social skills and body language so that nobody thinks I am different. I am not different. I think everyone is different in their own way. This is what I had to overcome, and I know others might have too.
What role did you take in navigating your education and your transition into adulthood? And how do you feel that that impacted you?
I was a follower for the longest period. Everyone did everything for me. I didn't have a teacher that challenged me like one that I had in the past. What I did was to graduate like everybody else and get a job. Transitioning at first is the most difficult part, especially when you're coddled, nurtured, or even treated differently. My mother is the biggest advocate in my life that pushed find resources where I can learn how to advocate for myself. And that is when I joined Trying Americorps in 2011.
Well, that was my next question. So, what made you decide to join Americorps?
Well, that's a very good question, too. I would love to answer that. At first, I just went along with it, honestly. During this time, I was shy and I kept to myself for the longest time. AmeriCorps changed the game and actually making me do something and not let others do it for me. The opportunities have shaped who I am today as a self advocate.
What does being a self advocate mean to you?
Tons of knowledge. The experience has opened my eyes, true abilities, and aware of that it is my life. I want to live my way, make those choices, make those calls, and be my own individual without someone being that person for me.
Why is working with individuals with disabilities so important to you?
This is from a friend of mine that resonated with me. Is Liz from Tuesdays with Liz from AUCD. She also said something like this. She's a self advocate, but she's an advocate and wants to advocate for everybody. As I think of a self advocate, advocates for themselves, and that is essential to do. You cannot advocate for someone if you can't or don't advocate for yourself.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about people with disabilities?
Some people label us by our disability and not our name or who we are. I think there needs to be more education, classes, or training. To get rid of this misconception, we need acceptance and treat it equally.
What advice would you give someone else about becoming an empowered self advocate?
Love people, treat people the same as you want to be. Never let anyone that does not understand the disability world treat you differently. Some people are not accepting to the world that's always changing. Be yourself and keep that voice going.
What do you feel are the biggest challenges facing young adults with disabilities today?
I feel the challenge of young adults with disabilities is that the majority are held back. What I mean is that through growing up to be a young adult, parents tend to do everything for you. I needed more time because of my disability. Parents, young adults with or without disabilities that are watching or reading this, please give your teens more opportunities like a simple chore, an activity, or parents spending time challenging their young adults with disabilities. You might be shocked how much they know, but need that extra push to be independent.
What do you feel is the most important thing when a young person with disabilities is transitioning into adulthood?
Through my experience transitioning, I feel that it's important to let young adults with disability have freedom to speak their opinions, their choices, or what they want to do. All of us have a busy schedule, but make time for someone transitioning, especially a young adult with a disability. Every moment you spend time with an individual is always a learning moment.
What transition services have you utilized and how have they helped you?
That's a fantastic question. I have to say there are two services that have helped me the most. Try an Americorps. This is a national service program that did many things for me. And they're a Step Up to Leadership Advisory Council that I'm involved in.
What do you enjoy most about working with IDS and why?
Working on videos. I get to work on my baby Chit Chat Thursdays with Taylor YouTube series that focus on self advocacy efforts in our state of Mississippi. This show was inspired by Tuesdays with Liz. The best part is when I get the opportunity to tell my story through a presentation, virtually or physically. I do miss going to conferences physically due to the pandemic, but I look forward to going soon.
What do you enjoy most about your YouTube channel?
Maintain a platform is the start of learning how to manage a series. What I enjoy the most is the fact that I can customize my series any way I want into a shape or form. The core focus never changes away from disability focus. That is what I'm passionate about.
Who has been your most favorite guest to interview?
That's an extremely difficult to answer because I love interviewing every person that comes to my studio or a Zoom call. The experience that the guest has to always say is memorable. I just love them all.
What is your dream job and why?
I'm living the dream job where I'm at. However, if I have to change to reach my dream job, it has to be creating my own studio that focus on writing stories, animation, and illustration. I call it Odyssey Studios, which I construct character scenes through my writing. The beginning of starting my studio is to publish my trilogy and get the wheels going to open up my world for the whole world to see. I might not be able to draw well, but give me a keyboard or a pen or paper and I can give you a story. If it is possible to achieve this goal in the future, the focus of Odyssey Studios would be on people with and without disabilities. My motto for Odyssey Studios is let the journey begin.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself continue work here at the Institute for Disability Studies as the self advocacy coordinator. I am very content on what I have right now. I love it. And if my dream job of Odyssey Studio never happens, at least what I want to do is publish my trilogy and the future stories for the world. It would be great to have a fandom community that is based on what I created.
Well, Taylor, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on today and interviewing you. And we are so excited to help spread your story and bring more awareness to people with disabilities and self advocacy.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to spread awareness for self advocacy.